flight to Accra via Amsterdam was pretty fuss-free, but the in-flight food was crappy, as expected. I was able to revive myself with some traditional fufu and a few Gordon Sparks in a chop shop before a bush pilot flew me into an airfield by Lake Bosomtwi. With a bit of luck, I'll be at the base camp in a few hours. Looks like everyone upped and left in the night. Strange. I've got goosebumps all of a sudden, despite the heat. I'm getting something of a horrible feeling here. I'd better get a move on so I can reach the Lake Bosomtwi camp before nightfall. Alone on the landing strip, I have to set off for the camp by the Bosomtwi Lake. In the facts, it says that the professor's colleagues have discovered a previously unknown species. Why am I not one bit surprised that I don't have any reception here? Not exactly the best of the best, but it can take a usable picture and the flash is top-notch. Not a multifunction tool, just a simple pocket knife without the gimmicks. Much more practical than rubbing sticks together. The craft of writing my ass. A voice recorder gets a more natural interview every time. Hey, Dixie. Now what would those Southerners say if they knew there was a mobile toilet named after their hymn? Holy shit. If a dead fish and a tramp had a baby and the baby threw up into a dog's mouth, the dog's end product would smell better than this toilet does. Even if I had to, I would not go in there. I should maybe give it a test.
Come, gather round, and have the piss taken out of you by a crazy lady with a megaphone.
Ooh, I like it. So what do you need a megaphone for in the jungle? Hell, they've seen better days. Now then, any juice left in these at all? Look like they've been used. Airport terminal, Africa style. A little bit too rustic for my taste. Where's the air-conditioned bar and duty-free shop? Lemonade. Sweet as shit and warm to boot. But even ice cold is not an option, if I want to avoid doing my figure some real harm. Well, okay, I'll take it with me. But be aware that this is non-alcoholic piss water. Lukewarm, sugary sweet, and with not a hint of carbon dioxide. Delicious. It's certainly seen better days. Large scratches torn into the wood. Must have been something considerably bigger than the cat over there. Yarr! Sorry. It's screwed tightly to the column. The pocket knife only has this one blade, but it's extremely versatile. I can unscrew screws with it, for example. A coat hook without a coat and made from metal. Believe it or not, there are people who don't carry such things in their inventory, but actually wear them on their heads. So sad. Sits around all day. Probably shows up for food and fondling. Men. Just two admittedly unfortunate words. Cat allergy. A limp sock. Reminds me of my ex. You know what? Enough of that. Looks like a reliable enough contraption. It clamps two ropes together. Okay, I've caressed the screws. Now what? Crates of provisions. Well, I'm not gonna starve to death here, that's for sure. I'm not that hungry yet. The camp lies northeast from here. That's where we want to be headed. Where's that perverse stink coming from? Oh, right. Pumbaa. They may be cute in cartoon form, but in the real world, those warthog tusks should not be underestimated. The only route to the lake is blocked by a warthog. Well able to defend themselves, these creatures are mostly scared of big cats, not journalists. Time for a bit of brain work then. I need to drive off the warthog and continue towards the camp. As long as that hog's eyeballing me, I really don't give a damn about the tree trunk. Okay, away we go. Sing Hakuna Matata for me then. Since we don't know each other all that well, I'm gonna be keeping my distance, okay? If I'm going to get to the camp, I need to drive off that wild pig. Hello, Mr. Kitty. How about an interview? Thank you for the profound discussion. I'll just check the recording. Perfect. Just like the original, soft and delicate. I'll hold the megaphone close to the voice recorder speaker. Perhaps the pig's got a cat allergy as well. Pity. Apparently not. Now I'll put the used batteries into the voice recorder. Sparkling new batteries. Perhaps the pig's got a cat allergy as well. Success. This hog herder's already rendered me a fine service. That one out, that one in. I don't need a walking stick quite yet, but hey, you never know. Straight and long. Could be useful. Ants. I must have scared him up. I can't get at them with my bare hands. just like in the adventure movies. So, what do we have? Great. The guide rope on the right-hand side of the bridge is broken. That's all I need. I can't get across with it like that. I need to repair the rope first. If I ignore the busted guide rope and try to cross, I'll soon be acquainted with the chasm floor. Way too risky. I need to fix the guide rope first. A prime example of a professional bodge job. It's really quite miraculous that this has stood here as long as it has. Unfortunately, I can't do much here with just my bare hands, other than strangle people with dumb ideas. There's a tool bag hanging down there. I hope nobody left it there when they took the express route to the bottom. The bag's hanging too low. I can't reach it. If I'm going to attach the hook to the branch, I'm going to need something more substantial than my iron will. I'll pull out a thread. In fact, this cap is such a waste of space, I'll throw the rest away. I got this out of that old cap. Looks like a rod, with neither a hook nor bait. One long hook thing coming right up. Almost as long and sturdy as a proper boat hook. Come to mama. Well, what have we got here then? Looks like a wrench, and in fact is a wrench. A typical pocket tape measure. A broad paintbrush. A very soft pencil. A 7B. Nothing left in it. The wrench fits. Now, let's just hope the mast doesn't fall when I remove the connector. How about that? Rope connector gone, mast still standing. A woman needs a little luck sometimes. Joins two ropes or cables together securely. Let's see. This can't be all that difficult. That ought to hold. It's looking pretty sturdy. Unfortunately, I can't do much here. I'm supposed to completely destroy this delicate bond with the wrench? I'd rather not. I fixed the bridge. Right then, off to the camp. Looks halfway safe again. I ought to be a bit cautious all the same. Whoa, what a mess. Who did this? Hello? Professor Hартман? Strange. No one here. What the hell happened? I ought to take a look around. four-legged stand. I ought to leave the stand where it is. On the sensor, it says working range 90 degrees. On the sensor, it says working range 90 degrees. I'm thinking that the sensor belongs on top of the stand. There's a fireplace here, but it's stone cold. Cold ashes and stones. It's a motion sensor. The working range of this sensor is 160 degrees. Won't be attracting much interest on the local real estate market. Trespassing here is not prohibited, just impossible. It's like the hut was cleaned out by a tornado. That tipped-over locker seems to be the only thing that hasn't been smashed or squashed. I'll pass. My delicate little fingers are not going in there just yet. Dry wood. Should burn well. Dry wood. Now, I ought to make a fire. It'll keep me safe tonight, from the cold and whatever else is out there. Before I go aimlessly tramping about in the jungle, I ought to be finding out what happened here and where the scientists have disappeared to. Interesting storage method. That's how you keep your grub away from the hungry fauna. If I had a jetpack, then maybe. This winch holds the crate hanging from the cable. The crank is missing. A genuine sun trap. These rocks are getting hot in the sun. The floorboards look pretty rotten. You want me to get a wood splinter? Even if the floorboards look rotten, you need something a little more heavy-duty than a manicured fingernail. A pipe. That's all I have to say about that. A pipe. What I'd really like to know is what threw this great big locker all over the place. Feels kind of locked. The wrench fits, but I don't have enough muscle power. The winch isn't moving an inch. The wrench fits inside the pipe. The laws of leverage are your friends. The wrench and the pipe have made an intimate connection. I'm so excited. There must be something really cool in there. My favorite occupation, plundering. Mostly fruit and veg. I'll leave that here and take everything else. The working range of this sensor is 160 degrees. A sleeping bag. Cuddly, warm, but also an accurate description of my ex-boyfriend. A small metal key. This sensor has a working range of 120 degrees. This sensor has a working range of 75 degrees. The mobile solar charger has to be assembled before it can be used. charging regulator. The regulator is a good starting point. I'd better leave it where it is. Bearing in mind I don't like puzzles, I've rather nailed that one, haven't I? You can use this mobile solar kit to run smaller electrical devices. Aha! It fits. A laptop for outdoor use. Fully ruggedized. Well, it survived whatever hit the hut completely unscathed. Another movement sensor. A first aid box. How useful. A letter? According to the sticker, that's Professor Hartman's laptop. Sadly, though, the battery's flat. A sensor with a working range of 90 degrees. I'll check the first aid kit. There are still a few painkillers left. Pure alcohol. Gauze bandages. Now all that's missing is someone to bind up. I've cleaned it out completely. The professor received this letter from his wife on their wedding anniversary. Turns out married, middle-aged people have very little of interest to say to one another. Who or what has wrecked the camp? And what's happened to the scientists? I will only find the answers to these questions in the camp itself. I'll connect the solar charger to the laptop. So, the solar charger is now connected to the laptop. Now all that's missing is some sunshine. I'll put the laptop and the solar charger here in the sun. The laptop's protected by a code. A strip of adhesive tape. It's stuck pretty fast. I need something to scrape it off. Who or what has wrecked? Might leave a scratch, but the ends justify the means. Is that just the manufacturer's logo? It looks like wedding bands or something. Who or what has... The perfect place. Who or... forecast without the internet. And I don't need a laptop to see how the weather is right now. Even the most ambitious scientist has to switch off every now and then. Can't wait to see what kind of music the prof's into. The map of the camp. A map of the region to the south of the Basumtwi. This is where Hартmан saved pictorial info from the current expedition. No saved mail. And if I was going to send or receive any, then I'd also need an internet connection. Looks like some kind of diary. Sounds promising. Viruses that are responsible for evolutionary leaps? That story would be an absolute scoop. Now, is there any truth to these ghost stories? Shit. Looks like it's quite possible they're close by here. I need to be careful. At least I now know where I can find the professor. Only now all that's missing is any clue to where this Christian mission is. The map of the camp. A map of the region to the south of the Basumtwi. Aha! That over there to the west has to be the mission that Hартmан wrote about in his notes. It doesn't make sense to set off for the mission now. I don't want to be wandering about in the jungle after dark. I'll spend the night here in the camp. Chasing after our scientists will have to wait until tomorrow. I'll set up the motion sensors and build a nice big fire to keep the beasties at bay. It's too dangerous to follow the scientists before daybreak. I need to make myself a fire and correctly arrange the motion detectors to save myself from any nasty surprises during the night. Let's get cozy. This sensor has a working range of 120 degrees. I'm thinking the sensor belongs on top of the stand. This sensor has a working range of 75 degrees. I'm thinking the sensor belongs on top of the stand. A sensor with a working range of 90 degrees. I'm thinking that the sensor belongs on top of the stand. The working range of this sensor is 160 degrees. I'm thinking that the sensor belongs on top of the stand. Looks like the sensors are set up according to plan. There. All done. Now I'm gonna get some shut-eye. And in the morning, I'll head to the mission and track down this research team.